Frazier coming around, and Garcia goes hustling into second base.
Royals took a 3-2 lead on that 2 RBI single from Michael Garcia. They would go on to win 3-2 over the Brewers on Monday night. We'll have more on that coming up here on the Sports Ticket on Katy Country 94. It is 9:10 here on this Tuesday, May 7th on Waterside Wake Up. Still to come during the show. Again, we'll recap the Royals, and I'll actually finish that up here momentarily as we can get that out of the way. I'll also have a look at local sports as Thunder Ridge basketball teams will be looking for new coaches. We'll tell you that and tell you about that here momentarily. Also look at today's schedule for high school sports. The NBA and NHL playoffs rolling on, and the NBA Rookie of the Year has been named, and it is unanimous. And I have some things that I want to say because I can. It's not going to be anything scathing or anything like that. It's just going to be good-natured fun, right? We'll have a shorter sports ticket as far as my end of it today. Usually we would play some interviews that we have lined up toward the beginning of the sports ticket, but I actually have to get out of here for something here today in a timely manner. So we will play those interviews at the end of the show, and I'll tell you about that coming up here momentarily. But again, we'll wrap up the Royals. Again, a 3-2 win over the Brewers on Monday night. A 2-run home run from Gary Sanchez in the fourth put the Brewers up 2-0, and it stayed that way until the seventh when they got 3 runs. As you heard, the 2-run single from Michael Garcia, but Michael Massey got things rolling with a solo homer in the start of the seventh there to cut the lead down to 2-1, and then had a couple on, and Michael Garcia was able to score. Actually, the bases were loaded. And Garcia hit that one up the middle that you heard Ryan Lefebvre on the call there, voice of the Royals. And again, he drove in 2. Anna Frazier scored, and then Nelson Velasquez scored, which would be the winning run. A very solid game from Cole Reagans on the hill. He just gave up the 2-run homer to Gary Sanchez. Otherwise, 2 runs on 2 hits with 8 strikeouts in 6 innings, 95 pitches there. Reagans goes and gets a no decision, though. Nick Anderson actually ended up the winning pitcher as he pitched a scoreless inning after the Royals had taken the lead. Actually, he came in right ahead of the Royals taking the lead there in the 7th inning. And then Tyler Duffy and Will Smith each got a hold, and Chris Stratton pitched the 9th inning. Did walk 2, but was able to get him out. No hits. No runs there. Second save of the year for Chris Stratton for the Royals there as they improved to 21-15. Milwaukee dropped it to 20-14 with the loss, and the two teams will play their second of 3 tonight at Kauffman Stadium, as the Brewers are 20-14 and the Royals 21-15. Before we get to that, though, we hear from Matt Quatrero on the comeback win for his team, beating the Brewers 3-2.
The 2 walks were huge to get us going. And then the competitiveness in the at-bats was really good. I mean, these guys, we've seen it over and over. I know the walks were in the 6th, but to drive up the pitch count to get to the bullpen, and they just don't quit. I mean, there's nothing. I wish I could put my finger on it and say, let's do that in the first. But for whatever reason, the game gets later and they come through.
All right, there's Matt Quatrero talking about his team, and that is something that we've seen from the Royals this year, when their backs are against the wall. A lot of like those 2014 and 15 teams, they had so many games where their backs were against the wall, and they just scratched it out and got the runners across the plate and picked up wins, and that's kind of what happened last night with the Royals, right? They down 2-0, and like Quatrero said, they got some walks there, maybe get the pitch count up, get some confidence. And then the 7th inning, they were able to get 3 runs to take the lead and get the win. So the Royals again 21-15, Brewers 20-14. Seth Lugo pitching tonight for the Royals in the second game of the series at 6:40 at Kauffman Stadium. Lugo's 5-1 with a 1.60 ERA this year against Colin Ray of the Brewers, who's 3-0 with a 2.67 ERA. Great pitching matchup tonight at Kauffman Stadium there in Kansas City. The Royals appear to be a bit of they're just barely a favorite, it looks like, here in this one tonight, being on their home field. So, again, the Royals and Brewers with Game 2 this evening. Royals still actually now a tie for second with the Twins, 2.5 games behind the Guardians, who are in first place in the AL Central at 23-12. The Brewers are in first place in a tie with the Cubs. Both teams 20-14, 21-15. The Brewers technically have just a little bit of a percentage lead there in the NL Central, in first place there. So battle of two teams that are playing pretty good ball right now. Game 2 tonight, 6:40 at Kauffman Stadium. All right, we'll shift gears to local sports real quick, and again, we'll conclude the sports ticket with local sports as well. Thunder Ridge basketball coaches Darren Grauerholz and Devon Branch have both resigned from their head and assistant coaching positions for the Longhorns. This was a decision that was made late last week. Grauerholz has been the head coach of the girls basketball team at Thunder Ridge since the school began back in the 2008-2009 season, I should say. And Branch, who coincidentally is also Grauerholz's son-in-law, has coached the Longhorn boys for the past 4 seasons. Grauerholz was Branch's assistant all 4 seasons for the boys, and then Branch has filled that assistant role on the girls team for the past 3 seasons for Coach Grauerholz as well. So they work together very well, and you'll hear about that coming up here later in the show, because we're going to be joined by both Darren Grauerholz and Devon Branch, kind of some exit interviews to give their thoughts about what they were able to accomplish in their time there at Thunder Ridge. And listen, you always see these things, and then if you're on the outside looking in and don't understand that Darren and Devon are family, right? That Darren is Devon's father-in-law, and they were coaching together over the past 4 seasons. When you see my story on Facebook or NCCastSports.com, Twitter, wherever you see it, I think an immediate response is like, oh no, Thunder Ridge lost both of their basketball coaches at the same time. What happened there? It all ties together. It's a family thing, and family is the reason that they're both kind of going in different directions. And you'll hear that, like I said, coming up here at the end of the sports ticket when we talk with both Darren and Devon about their decisions. So there's always I think in this world we go to a spot where when you see something happening like this and 2 people resigning at the same time, your thoughts just turn negative for some reason. And it's like, oh, well, what happened there? What's going on at Thunder Ridge? Nothing really is going on at Thunder Ridge. It's a decision that these 2 made to spend time with their family, and nobody's going to discredit that. Nobody should discredit that. Thunder Ridge, everything that they're going to say about this, I would imagine, is going to be, we're sad to see you go. We want you to stay, but we understand why you're leaving. And I've seen so many comments like that already on Facebook from the Thunder Ridge community. And Darren put a lot of love into this for a lot of years. I'm speaking personally from my heart right now with Darren, and I've known him since I got here, right? Really since I started covering stuff at Kensington when he was, when they were the Gold Bugs, he was kind of coaching with his sister, Chris Kirchhoff, who was the head coach, and then Darren had to step in and do some interim head coaching at times there while they were the Gold Bugs too. And then, like I said moments ago, he did take over the program there. When Thunder Ridge High School started, he became the head coach, right, and had a lot of success. And I'm definitely going to miss my chats with Darren, and I'll have another one with him coming up, kind of the last one officially here coming up on the sports ticket. But it's been a blast to be able to talk with him each Wednesday and every year over the last 16 seasons, being able to talk about Thunder Ridge basketball and cover the Lady Longhorns, and he had a lot of success and did a lot of great things at Thunder Ridge. 5 times they went to the state tournament on the girls' side. They placed 3rd in the 2019 state tournament in 1A at Dodge City. That was their best finish in the time that Coach Grauerholz was with the group, and compiled a 265 and 102 record. Also a highlight from that time in his career was a stretch of 7 straight Northern Plains League tournament championships from 2014 to 20. So Darren's got grandkids. He's got still kids of his own too that he wants to go out and be able to be a part of their lives. And 16 seasons coaching. Just as a head coach, he's coached longer than 16 seasons, I promise you that. But as the head coach at Thunder Ridge, 16 years there for Darren, and he put a lot of time and effort into that community, and I think that people will respect what he has to say coming up, and I know that I've seen a lot of comments about the respect that people have for Darren as a coach, and I do want to reiterate my respect for Darren for being with me all 16 of these years on locker room chats, and we have conversations that are not on the phone. Darren's one of those that I truly love to chat with anytime I can get an opportunity to, and we pick each other's brains sometimes. My advice is not going to be great from a coaching standpoint, right? But I can, we've done it long enough that we kind of understand the league and things like that. So we had some fun conversations that were not on the air. And I think that's the most special part of what I do in my job, is being able to create those relationships and actually talk with some of these coaches about things that they involve sometimes the sport and the aspect of a game plan or things like that, but also just life in general, right? And I've had a lot of conversations with Darren about a lot of different things on those phone calls on Wednesday, and I'm definitely going to miss those. I'm going to miss them with Devon Branch as well. He was here for 4 years and did a really, really good job of turning it around. I'm not saying it was bad when I say this, but turning it into kind of like a basketball culture. When Thunder Ridge started, there was a really good basketball program and a lot of good success that they had in basketball. And then I think when most people think Thunder Ridge boys sports, their mind goes right to football. And rightfully so. They've had a tremendous amount of success in football, right? But I think Devon did a really good job of, I've always said this, and I'm not saying that they're not basketball players, but Devon was a college basketball player, right? Played at Cloud County, played at Pitt State. He knows the game so well, the insides and outs of it. And I felt like did just an outstanding job of turning football players into basketball players, because there has been obviously a mentality of Thunder Ridge being a football school. They bring it in the weight room as a football school. There's no question about that. But I think Devon just did such a good job of interblocking that and understanding how to get the most out of all these kids and all their abilities, and not just as football players, but as athletes and as young men too. And I like I said, I've only been around Devon for 4 years, but you could tell the impact that he had on Thunder Ridge as well, and on their basketball programs, but not just their basketball programs, but on their youth as a whole. So I'm sad to see them both go, but I'm sure Thunder Ridge is sadder than I am to see them both go. Again, you see that headline. Don't read the story. Don't read into the headline. Read my story, please, and you'll understand why both of these guys are stepping down at this moment in time, and it's admirable for sure. You're going to hear from both of them coming up at the end of the Sports Ticket here today. Today's high school sports schedule: the Tipton Golf Invitational starts at 10:30 this morning. Tipton, Lakeside, St. John's, Rock Hills, Pike Valley, Southern Cloud competing from the area. Also, Beloit's at the NCAA League meet at Republic County at 1 o'clock this afternoon. Mel Shermer Invitational at Phillipsburg at 3 o'clock this afternoon with Osborne and Smith Center. And in softball, Beloit's hosting Sacred Heart today. It's Senior Day. They have moved up the start time for the first game of that doubleheader to 3:30. Originally, it's 4 on your schedule, so get there early, 3:30 this afternoon for Beloit and Sacred Heart. Again, Devon Branch and Darren Grauerholz will wrap up. We'll have Darren first, then Devon second to wrap up the Sports Ticket coming up later. So be listening for that. We're going to recap a couple other things here before we get out for the Sports Ticket today.
Center cut. Hasn't missed at the line tonight. Pacers got to go quick. They're down 4, up ahead. Halliburton looked like he rolled his ankle and turns it over. Knicks have it. OG Anunoby dribbles it out, and game 1 belongs to the New York Knicks.
The Knicks with the victory. Jalen Brunson continues to be a stud for New York. The Knicks won 121-117 game 1 of the second round of the NBA playoffs Monday night. Jalen Brunson scored 43, rallying New York to the victory. He went 14 of 14 from the free throw line on the night. Jalen Brunson with 43 points. He scored 40 or more in 4 straight games now. The Knicks getting that victory, and they are looking really, really good. Right now, he had 21 of his 43 points in the fourth quarter. Just outstanding down the stretch. And again, he's had 4 straight 40.5 assists playoff games. He's the first player in NBA history to do that. 40 points, 5 assists in 4 straight games. Brunson said the little things can go a long way, so the 40 points are cool and all, but it's the little things that help us win games like that, so I'm just happy I have a group of guys that I do. Those little things, they're not little. They're big. 14 of 14 from the free throw line, and obviously being able to get others involved when you have the chance as well. The Knicks again up 1-0 on the Pacers in that best-of-7 series. Now, the other game last night in the NBA playoffs was not even a challenge. The Denver Nuggets are on the ropes. The defending NBA champions were outscored in the first half, if I can do math in my head, 61-35. And a 33-15 second quarter, to go into halftime. What a performance from the Minnesota Timberwolves. Again, 61-35 at halftime in Denver. On the road, they're doing this, and Minnesota ends up running away with it 106-80 to take a 2-0 series lead. Really no challenge there for the Timberwolves from the Nuggets last night. 27-12 from Karl Anthony Towns, 12 rebounds, 27 points, 7 assists from Anthony Edwards. Anthony Edwards has just been a stud and continues to play at that level. The Timberwolves are going to be tough to stop. So the T-Wolves moving on back home as they're up 2-0 in that best-of-7 series in the Western Conference second round. It's coming up tonight in the NBA playoffs in the West. The East, the Cavaliers Celtics game 1 of that Eastern Conference second round series at 6 o'clock on TNT, followed by the Mavericks and Thunder at 8:30 on TNT as well. All right, I have some quick thoughts here, and when the Spurs had the number 1 pick in the draft, it was whoever got that number 1 pick. It was pretty obvious who they were going to take. It was Victor Wembanyama, and this guy's been talked about for years and years and years. About when he gets to the chance to be in the NBA draft, he will be the number 1 pick. As a youngster in France, it was something that everybody just knew was going to happen. No matter who had that pick, whether it was the Spurs, the Rockets, Hornets, who were, the Pistons, who were all fighting for that top spot and ended up going to the Spurs in the lottery. And, you feel like you're lucky. I do anyway as a Spurs fan that it fell that way. But the moment he was drafted, people wanted to... And people needed to find, because we've been talking about Victor Wembanyama from France for so long, people needed to find a way to tear this kid down. They needed to find whatever flaws they could find in his game to be like, well, I don't know, maybe it's not the right pick. Maybe we should go with Scoot or whatever the heck this guy's name is. I mean, they're trying to say that they should maybe you should think about somebody else in that first pick. And it was just like, maybe you shouldn't think about somebody else. Victor Wembanyama, Brandon Miller, Scoot Henderson were like the 3 names that were being talked about. And Wembanyama, everybody knew, was going to be the first player drafted. Scoot Henderson was trying to say, hey, it should be me. I should be the number 1 pick. Brandon Miller, I don't think quite went in as hard as Scoot Henderson did about that, but... So Wembanyama is clearly the guy that's going to be drafted. Everybody wants to tear him down. Oh, he's going to have to bulk up. He's going to have to get a lot bigger to play in this league. Well, he's 7'5". So he definitely 7'4", whatever you want to call him. He doesn't have to get taller, I can tell you that. Everybody's talking about how he's going to have to bulk up. He's not going to be able to withstand an 82-game season in the NBA. And obviously he didn't play 82 games because nobody does anymore with investments like this anyway. And so all that talk was that you got to get bigger. And the most absurd comments from actual people that actually thought this. And listen, the Chiefs come out a lot like, oh, everybody doubted us. Nobody thought we could do it. Some of that's fabricated by them to make it up. But the things that are not fabricated are the things that people were saying about Victor Wembanyama. He's got to bulk up. He's just not ready for this. He's not going to be quick enough to do the things in the NBA game that he wants to do. His team was not very good. He was playing with a bunch of amateurs there in France, and he was not getting the right kind of competition to prepare himself for the NBA. I mean, you heard all of it. And then the most absurd thing that people were saying, what can Victor Wembanyama do that Bol can't? We found out quite a damn bit. Victor Wembanyama, the number 1 pick in the NBA draft, a unanimous pick for Rookie of the Year. All 99 first-place votes went to Victor Wembanyama, and this guy had all the hype. This is a LeBron-type situation, and don't think I'm overreacting when I'm saying that, because I'm not. This guy was the guy. He was identified at a very, very, very young age. The hype has been around this kid for 5 years at least. And what did he do? He lived up to the hype and beyond. A unanimous Rookie of the Year pick. And I brag about it because he plays for my team. The Spurs are my favorite team, if people don't know that by now. But he went out there and just straight dominated and lived up to the hype. This guy, I mean, some of the plays and the highlights you'll see of this guy, if you haven't watched him play, just look up some highlight reels. The things he does, nobody's ever done before. It's not possible with his body style and type. So it's just been for me, the chances that I did get to watch Wembanyama play were a joy this year. This kid can stretch the floor at 7'4". He made 128 3-pointers. He became the first player in NBA history with 250 blocks and 100 3-pointers in the same season. Averaged .72 points per minute this season, the most by a rookie in any season since Michael Jordan. He recorded 2 triple-doubles, one with assists and one with blocks. On January 10th, he had 16, 12, and 10 assists. On February 12th, 27 points, 14 rebounds, 10 blocks against the Raptors. 11 days after that, he posted a 5-by-5 against the Lakers with 27 points, 10 rebounds, 8 assists, 5 blocks, and 5 steals, becoming the youngest player to achieve a 5-by-5 in NBA history. Overtime performance against the Knicks, March 29th, 40 points, 20 rebounds, highest scoring game of the season for Victor. Only other players to have a 5-by-5 and a 40-point and 20-rebound game and a 10-block game in their career, Hakeem Olajuwon and Anthony Davis. This dude is a stud. He proved it. He backed everything up, and all the things that they said about him were proved wrong. Did he bulk up? Maybe just a little bit, but he said right coming in, he's like, I don't feel like I have to bulk up. Victor Wembanyama is your unanimous Rookie of the Year. What a season he had for the Spurs. You know, the Spurs, obviously, as a team, didn't do what they wanted to do. They didn't get the wins, but it's a building process, and Victor Wembanyama is clearly the big start and the corner post of what they're going to use. He is the third #1 pick by the Spurs to be named Rookie of the Year, joining David Robinson and Tim Duncan, who were both #1 picks and both got Rookie of the Year. Wembanyama, 21.5 points, 10.5 rebounds, 4 assists, 3.5 blocks, and a steal per game for the San Antonio Spurs. You can tell by listening to me that I am very excited about the future of the San Antonio Spurs as a fan of the Spurs. Victor Wembanyama, a unanimous Rookie of the Year pick. And to all those people that doubted him, I don't have to say anything because he did it himself.
Empty net. DeBrusque scores. Icing on the cake for the Boston Bruins.
Bruins went up 5-1 with that goal. Again, we're wrapping up this portion of the Sports Ticket brought to you by Keeper Brothers Automotive in Beloit. Stay tuned. We have Darren Grauerholz and Devon Branch interviews coming up to end the show. So be listening for that here on Katy Country 94 on the Sports Ticket. The Bruins went up 5-1 with that goal over the Panthers, winning game 1 of their second round matchup with Florida in the Stanley Cup playoffs in the East, going up 1-0 in that series. 2 games on the schedule tonight in the NHL. The Rangers are up 1-0. They host the Hurricanes. Game 2 at 6 o'clock, followed by game 1 in the West. Second round between the Stars and Avalanche in Dallas at 8:30. So that's an update on the Stanley Cup playoffs. You want any updates on any of this? NBA playoffs, NBA.com, NHL.com can give you the Stanley Cup playoff updates as well. Again, coming up, we'll be joined by Darren Grauerholz of the Thunder Ridge Longhorns and Devon Branch. Darren of the Thunder Ridge Girls, Devon of the Thunder Ridge Boys, both announcing their resignations as head coaches at Thunder Ridge and assistant coaches, too, because they were both helping each other out on the respective benches in that aspect and avenue as well. That's coming up after the break, as we will finish up the Sports Ticket here on Katy Country 94. Have a great day, everybody.
I'm Elijah at Kiefer Brothers Automotive in Beloit. Hot weather is here. Is the air conditioning in your vehicle nice and cold? If not, we can help. We have the training and equipment to service vehicle AC systems of all types, including the new refrigerant and late model vehicles. We offer same-day service on air conditioning with no appointment necessary. So don't sweat it out. Give us a shout. Fast, friendly service for your air conditioner can be found at Kiefer Brothers Automotive, just south of the courthouse in Beloit, or on the web at kieferbrothers.com.
And welcome back here on our Sports Ticket on Katy Country 94. We're joined by Darren Grauerholz, recently announcing his resignation as a head girls basketball coach at Thunder Ridge. Coach, first of all, thanks for taking a little bit of time to chat with me. You've been doing this for quite a while, so I know that people have been interested in following Thunder Ridge basketball. We'll kind of want to know your thoughts of heading out and going in a different direction here. But I guess the biggest thing that I always ask anybody when this comes about is, why is the time now to step aside, and what goes into that decision for you?
Well, family's been number one, and I guess that was the one main reason why I got out of officiating, is so I could watch my daughters play basketball. And then Jeff Yoxall retired from coaching, and he told me to do it, or he was tired of me yelling at him from the sideline, so he made me do it. So anyway, I started picking up coaching back then, but like I say, it was all family related then, and it is now. I have a grandson that's going to be a 7th grader already next year, and I just feel I always like to support my family and like to go watch. I enjoy it, and I've been blessed with great kids and great family members. So that's the next step in my life here, and I just want to spend time doing that now.
You know, when you started this thing, like you said, it was family motivation. I can probably guarantee you back then, too, you were coaching with your sister for a little bit there. And then, you know, once Thunder Ridge took over as the Longhorns there, you took over the head coaching job for good there with this girls basketball team. You've been doing it for 16 years, 265 and 102 record. And obviously that was probably the motivation early, too, right, was to you know, have the family being all part of this, and you can still see your girls play even though you're coaching them, right?
Oh, absolutely, you know, and it was probably the hardest on them if you would ask them, right? And of course, like you said, with Chris Kirchhoff, you know, helping out, you know, my sister, and then she was able to coach her daughter, my niece, and it's I honestly would say it's going to be tougher on the kids than it is on myself, because when things don't go right, I'm going to bark at them first, and they can probably tell you the same sentiment. So I don't regret doing it, and I think the best part about that was when they were gone, I was happy to coach without them there, without worrying about what's everybody going to say about why is the niece playing, why is their daughter playing, you know, and to get that out of the way, that was great, you know. Then you could focus on coaching and not who you're playing, but you could focus on the coaching aspect.
When you look back at your time as a coach there for just the Thunder Ridge portion of it here, the time that you've had there, you did, you know, off the top of my head, I can come up with two things that are pretty significant in that time. You did go to state 5 times. You finished third, was your top finish in 2019 in Class 1A. And then obviously during this stretch, you had a stretch where you had 7 straight Northern Plains League tournament titles. So those are two things that come to my mind during your tenure there. But what stands out the most about this time that you've had as a girls basketball coach there in Kensington?
Yeah, those were always big moments, but everything had to fall into place. And I always think back to that 7 straight, and if Brenna Eilert doesn't get hurt, and I just hated that, you know, because she was such a great player. But if she doesn't get hurt, we get beat. We're already down. And I'll never forget, we're going to the locker room, Coach Gruzine's hollering at me, and he goes, "Hey, come here. He goes, "She ain't coming back." And I'm like, oh, crap. You know, I hated that. But we go to the locker room, and I'm like, okay, I got to put my big coaching hat on now, because we got to bite back from this lead. And if Walters scores a few more points, she beats us single-handedly, which has happened several times in my career. But, you know, that was just a big thing that, you know, and I think all coaches are going to say the same thing. Everything's got to fall into place. You have to have the right tools when everybody else doesn't. And I think, you know, that third-place team at state that I took, it's one of those deals where had Central Plains still been a 2A school, you know, we probably been runner-up at Hanover. I just feel like, man, we met a buzzsaw that day.
Yep.
And, of course, 200 and some other teams found the same way. But, you know, it's just everything's got to play into place, and that was just one of those things. But because Brenna Eilert got hurt, I got to meet her on a different level, because I was able to coach with her 2 different games that year in 2 all-star games. And that was great to get to know these kids in that aspect as well, to be able to coach other kids and having her coach with me. It was fun.
You're obviously not going anywhere. Again, we're talking with Darren Grauerholz, the now former head coach of the Thunder Ridge girls basketball team. You help with track and all that, but you're clearly not going anywhere other than you're stepping aside from these coaching duties. So when you look back at your time, what are some of what would be the message you'd send out to the people of Kensington and Agra and Thunder Ridge and all the community there?
I don't know. That's thanks for allowing me to coach your daughters.
That'd be the best way to say it, right?
I think so.
Yeah. I know that Darren, we've had. Listen, if we could tell people about the conversations that we've had off the air when we do our weekly locker room chats, we'd probably get in trouble, right? But I do appreciate all your time over the year. It's been a blast chatting with you. And as we talked about in text, if you need me to call you on a Wednesday at any point in time, just let me know. All right.
Yep, absolutely. And like you said, it's just one of those deals where it's been such a joy. I know that there's been times when things were tough with certain players, whatever, and didn't quite see it the way I saw it. But yeah, I mean, I enjoyed it, and I just thank for all the community support over the years. And I thank my boss, which is also my dad, giving me that time off for the time that I needed to do this job. As well as I did, and I think, somebody like Mr. Weens that gets everything ready for me so I don't have to worry about that, and my father-in-law, the bus driver, for getting us there safely, and most of all, I always thank my wife because she was the one that sacrificed the most because she was sitting at home waiting for me to come home, so I guess we're going to spend a lot of time together now. I don't know if she's ready for that or not, but the community support that I've had over the years was tremendous, and even from other communities, I was hit up at the track meet the other day by Mr. Gates, and hate to see you go type deal, and things like this, but it was a lot of fun. And I just want to thank everybody for that.
Darren Grauerholz with us on the Sports Ticket. Coach, we thank you again. Enjoy your time with the grandkids. We'll see you down the road, all right?
You bet we will. Thanks, Dusty. You've been great, and like you said, you've been one hell of a psychiatrist.
And again, back on the Sports Ticket here on Kitty Country 94. Devon Branch joining us now, the former boys basketball coach for the Thunder Ridge Longhorns now. We just talked with Coach Darren Grauerholz and his decision to step aside as the head coach of the Thunder Ridge girls basketball team. And Devon, I know that you've been, full disclosure, obviously, Darren's your father-in-law, so you've had a relationship with him and been able to really kind of get into this Thunder Ridge thing because of Darren and Coach Grauerholz's time there. So obviously, that was kind of your in and the experiences you had. I'm sure you enjoyed, and we'll get to have a chat about that here momentarily. But for your side of things, Coach Grauerholz just talked about, family was one of the biggest reasons for stepping aside at this moment in time. And I know that you've been commuting to be a coach as well. So what goes into your decision to step aside as of this moment here for Thunder Ridge boys basketball?
Well, it was a tough decision, because I live in Hayes, and my son wasn't of age to play basketball for a school yet. And it really just came down to the fact that he's going to be in 7th grade next year. He told me he's going to want me around more because he wants to start taking sports just a little bit more serious. Mm-hmm. And as a father, you can't tell your kid no, even though it hurts. It hurts the people that I work with. But as a father, you can't tell your kid no if he asks you to be around just a little bit more. Commuting back and forth to Hayes, it's kind of a hassle, but I did it for the last 4 years. So I just thought now's the time. I taught the kids as much as I can possibly teach them for now, and I just throw myself into my family very more. It's been a year since I've been married, and I haven't been home much, so I just thought now would be the great time with a job offering, so I just jumped on it when I could.
So again, obviously, just like Coach Grauerholz said, definitely family motivated here, and I know just being around both of you for as long as I have, that's foremost in your minds as well. So just over the last 4 years, what stood out maybe about your time with Thunder Ridge? Like you said, you did teach the boys and felt like you've taught them quite a bit, and from the outside looking in, you obviously worked with that group and made them a lot better as basketball players. What's the biggest thing you're going to take away from your time here at Thunder Ridge, and what stands out the most in that time?
The biggest thing I'm going to take away is just the kids accepting me. A big city kid coming into country style, not knowing much, not knowing their living, and them not knowing nothing about me, and just accepting me and just accepting the challenges I put forward to them. And they excelled. They excelled better than I would have thought they could. They took me in. as family, and, I always cherish them as family. But my biggest thing is it's probably not even the basketball court. It's just what we did outside the court, hanging out, trying to get each other, because every program I've ever had, it was based off family. I think these last 4 years, these kids have really became a part of my family, and they've bought into everything I've tried to teach them off the court. So that's my biggest thing, the accomplishments off the court.
How special has it been to share the sideline with your father-in-law over the last, now your father-in-law, like you said, you've been married for a year, but over the last 3 years and 4 years as an assistant coach with you too?
It's been an honor, I've learned a lot from him on the court and off the court, just teaching me farming things, big city kid coming to work on the farm. He teaching me a little bit of stuff like that. And, and I'm picking his brain about basketball, and he's picking my brain about basketball. You couldn't have asked to do it no better way than coaching with your father-in-law. That's just an awesome thing. It's brought us closer. He's like one of my best friends, so it's going to be hard not seeing him every day, but, we knew it was time. Time was ticking.
What's your final message to the Thunder Ridge community here?
I just keep believing in the kids, They're not going to get everything right away. Just keep pouring into them. The more you pour into these kids out here, the more they'll be willing to run into a brick wall for you. And I think that's just all what it was. Me understanding them understanding me giving a little, taking a little, and that just made them work a little harder. But I just want to say thank you to the Thunder Ridge community for accepting me and letting me coach your kids the way I know how to coach and pushing them to be better men off and on the court.
Devon, we certainly thank you for taking the time every week to join us on our locker room chats over the last 4 years and talk Thunder Ridge hoops. And it's been an honor to see you coach and improve this program throughout the last 4 years. We'll miss chatting with you each week, but we certainly wish you nothing but the best. All right, man?
Thank you. Appreciate it.
State, regional, and national sports talk on your schedule. The Sports Ticket Podcast. Subscribe via Apple, Google, and TuneIn Podcasts or sunflowerstateradio.com.